Just talk about that.
Wow, thank you. I need to come back to Toronto more often. Wow. Wow, what a crowd. Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How has your Fan Expo Canada been?
Oh my gosh, it's been fantastic. Honestly, everyone has been so friendly here. Like I said, I need to come back.
Yes. Would you guys like him to come back?
What are you guys going to say? No.
I don't know. They can turn on you very quickly. The people have spoken. And of course we have a microphone right there, guys, so you can hop up in line, get ready with your questions. But I have just a couple to start with. I'm such a big fan of the film Glory, and
Thank you.
And I know that you're like a real history buff, and you're also a person, an actor that really researches roles and really gets into it. Was there any pressure for you going into that kind of movie, that kind of script, because it has such significance, it has such historic significance? Was there pressure for you stepping into that role?
I actually don't feel pressure when I get offered a part or a script to read, because especially if it's historical in value. History was the only subject I was any good at school, and I think that's why. No, really, because for me it was sitting there and listening to teachers tell me stories, you know, and reading books and getting into it, and so when I was offered Glory, I met with the screenwriter, a wonderful guy called Kevin Jarre, who's sadly no longer with us, and he is the stepson, or he was the stepson of Maurice Jarre, who you may or may not know composed the music for Lawrence of Arabia. And so he grew up in a household that was filled with history as well. So when we met, we had a kinship instantly, because I grew up in a household filled with history, and he grew up in a household filled with history. And so we hit it off right away. And he said to me, oh, you got to go to the Horton Mifflin Library in Boston, because there you'll find all of Colonel Shore's letters that he wrote home. And I think he wrote home like twice a day or something like that. And so they're all there in the archives. And so I flew to Boston, and I called the library. They were very sweet. They said, yes, of course, Mr. Elwes, come on down, which was very nice of them. And they gave me white gloves, and I sat for 2 days reading all these letters, and it was fantastic to really sit there and just soak up the history of the real experience that Shore had with the 54th. And I had no idea about the Massachusetts 54th Regiment before. And so when I met Kevin, I'm like, how did you find the story? He goes, that's what I love to do, is find stories that nobody knows about and write about them. So it was a thrill, and we had a fabulous cast, boy. I mean, you know, Denzel and Morgan and Matthew. And we shot it in Georgia. Most of it was in Georgia, some of it in Paris Island, some of it in North Carolina. So we were moving around a bit. It was hard only because we were in thick Civil War, wool outfits in the summer in Georgia, and I don't recommend that. We had all these wonderful reenactors, too, that we hired. And these guys are great. Are there any reenactors here today? There you go, a couple. God bless you guys. So if you ever meet a reenactor, they're fabulous folks. These guys are real historians because they live history. And they get decked out in full Civil War uniforms, and their wives get decked out in period costumes, and they go and live on the set. Like if we picked a field to pretend to be Gettysburg, and they went and lived. They didn't want hotel rooms. They all bivouacked in little tents, and these guys, would have cookouts at night, and they all had if they wanted to wear glasses, they had period glasses. And so one night I went down there and hung out with them all, and they would take out photographs of their family that were period photographs. So they were really into it, which was so much fun, to be around folks who were as dedicated as we were. So yeah, it was a thrill.
I mean, they are method actors, essentially.
They're totally method actors.
Yeah.
Totally.
They all went to the Strasberg School, right? Yeah. Let's go ahead and throw it to an audience question. Okay. We have one. Yes, sir, right up front.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Hanan.
Hi, Honana. How are you?
Doing good. First of all, great seeing you. You've been
Thank you.
awesome actor.
Thank you.
And I'd like to ask you about Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Okay.
How was it to work with Mel Brooks, and do you have anything that very funny that you remember from him?
Oh my gosh, Mel Brooks. Well, I grew up on Mel Brooks in England. You know, he was as popular there as he is here. And I had seen all of his movies, you know, at least 10 or 12 times. That's how much I loved his work. I'm like that with people's work that I love. I make sure I don't see their films once. I have to see them over and over again, like a good song, right? That you play until you're sick of it. That's how I am with movies. So I have to download them in my brain, and then I can move on. So I had basically nearly memorized every line from Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein and Producers and everything. And so I was sitting at home one day, and the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it said, "Hi, is this Cary Elwes?" I said, "Yes." And he went, "This is Mel Brooks." And I went, "Yeah, right." And I hung up on him. Well, I mean, really, you know, I thought for sure someone was putting me on, you know? And the phone rang again. I went, "Come on." He goes, "No, it's me. Don't hang up, don't hang up." And it really was him. And he had seen Princess Bride, and he said, "I think you'd make a great Robin Hood." And I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely flabbergasted. And he invited me down to the studio to come and meet him, and we sat down, and I said to him as I walked in, I said, "Dude, you had me at hello, you know?" And then we cast Dave Chappelle together. That was fun. Yes. What a piece of luck that was, right? And yeah, it was a laugh a minute. I mean, Mel, every day was just pure joy. He's all about the joy of filmmaking. For him, the journey of comedy, it has to be a joyful set, and it has to be fun, or else he doesn't want to do it. And so, and I think you can see that in the film. There's a level of joy among the actors it starts with the director, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, what kind of director was he? Was he a very light touch kind of director, or what kind of notes would he give?
He's good at he knows comedy so well. So if you like, sometimes he'll give you line readings, which I don't mind, because I'm like, "Mel, how do I do this?" He goes, "Okay, this is how you do it." I'll never forget. We had to shoot a bow and arrow. I had to do some archery. There's an archery scene where I have to get a bullseye. And I said to Mel, "Should I train for that?" He said, No, we'll get to it tomorrow. It'll be fine. And that's how he loves the toy. He's like, "Don't worry, we'll get it. And so the next day came up, and the stunt man who had studied archery came up to me and he goes, "Okay, so I have maybe 5 minutes to teach you how to be an archer." And he said, "You know, we'll either get it or we won't." I'm like, "What?" So I practiced for a bit, and obviously I didn't get it in 5 minutes, and then they came and called me to the set to go shoot the scene. And I go up to Mel, I go, "Mel, I had a couple of rehearsals, but I gotta tell you, I'm still a bit, you know, I'm not quite there yet." He goes, "Don't worry, we'll get it. And so we did the first take, and you know, I mean, the first arrow went way into the forest and hit a squirrel or something. Right? Second one went up in the air, third one went in on the ground, and Mel came up to me, he goes, "You know what, we're waiting on lunch. No pressure, but everybody's waiting on lunch." And I'm like, "Oh God." So the fifth take, it was by pure chance that I got a bullseye. And if you look at the film, you'll see on my face complete shock and pretending that it's not that, you know, and literally as I got it and said the line, Mel went, "Great, that's lunch." And that was it. Yeah. A laugh a minute.
True expression on your face.
So go back and look at it. You'll see complete and utter shock that I got it. It's just nuts.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Danielle.
Hi, Danielle.
Okay. So my question's actually similar to the previous guy, only it's about Princess Bride. What is your favorite memory about working with Andre the Giant?
Well, Andre, you probably, for those of you who read my book, you probably know that Andre was a wonderful human being, first of all. I should say that. Start out by saying what a beautiful human. Yeah, give it up for Andre. A wonderful, wonderful human being. And very generous spirit. I always tell folks he would give you the shirt off his back, be enough for 10 people, but he'd give it to you. That's just who he was. And he always had a smile on his face, even though he was in terrible pain because of his back. And the most memorable thing there were many memorable days with him, but probably the most memorable was the first day working with him. We were shooting the scene, we're about to storm the castle, yeah? And we built this fake set to look like a parapet, and the three of us, myself, Mandy, and him, are on the wall, and I'm mostly dead, so I'm passed out, and I think Fezzik has the first line. He says, I wonder how long before it takes effect. And Montoya says, your guess is as good as mine. And then I come to and I say, I'll beat you both together or fight you both apart, something like that. You guys know the line better than I do. And Fezzik says, I guess not very long, about the miracle pill. Well, he didn't get to the word long. He let out the most monumental fart. I can't even tell you. Oh my God. No. We've all accused each other of giant farts. This was a giant's fart, people. It was so monumental. I can't even, all of us still have tinnitus. It's and you know the scene in the film where he goes, everybody move, and everybody's in shock? That's what happened. And the whole set shook. I'll never forget. Somebody timed it. It was 16 seconds. This is a long time. I looked up at the sound guy, and he'd lifted the headset off his ears to protect his eardrum. And then I made the mistake of looking at Andre, and he had a smile on his face, I told you already, but now he had this beatific smile on his face, and he was rocking back and forth like he was letting go of something he'd been holding on to for far too long. And you could hear this, I mean, it was absolutely monumental. What's so great in England is that the British are very weird about farts and things like that. They all don't know how to deal with it. Like, if somebody farts, they're like, oh, looks like a storm coming in. You know, they all get very weird, you know? But after this earthquake, right, it was stone silence for like 3 boroughs away. No birds, nothing. I swear to God, nothing. It was I'm sure there were birds in the tree going, what? It was monumental. And stunned silence, and Rob Reiner, the director, broke the silence. He goes, hey, Andre, you okay? Swear to God. And Andre, without missing a beat, goes, I am now, boss. First day. First day with Andre.
Thank you.
Crazy. Yeah. Can't make that up. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Cary, it's Martin.
Hi, Martin.
That was actually my question, but I got a backup one. So the backup one is, what was it like filming those great sword fighting scenes?
Oh, yes, the sword fights. Okay, so we had terrific trainers. Sadly, they're no longer with us, but you can Google them. Their names were Peter Diamond and Bob Anderson. Bob Anderson is a Canadian, a wonderful Canadian. I think he was from here, from Toronto. And he was a Olympic fencer, amazing guy. And they were in their 60s, but they were so incredibly good. I mean, they had both worked with the greats. They'd worked with Errol Flynn and Burt Lancaster. I mean, their CVs were unbelievable, right? And they sat Mandy and I down, and they go, have you had any training at all? And Mandy went, no, and I said, no. Turns out, by the way, Mandy had been practicing for months. So it's so Montoya, it was so Montoya. He's like, no, I don't know. He'd been practicing with some fencing champion in upstate New York for a month. You know, so by the time I got there, he was already left-handed, typical, right? Typical. But, so they sat us down, they go, look, you know, we'll be honest with you. They've only given us a limited amount of time to teach you guys. And, you know, Rob Reiner doesn't want stunt doubles, he wants you. And we'll be honest, it's, you know, it's going to be a struggle. And Mandy was like, no, it won't, we'll be fine. Right? And we trained every day for like 6 to 8 hours, 5 days a week for about 3 weeks prior to shooting. And then on the set, they made sure that they were off camera. and waiting for us to finish a take, and would grab us, still in costume and makeup, and grab us and rehearse, even for the few minutes it took to do the next setup. And so we were working really, really hard at it, and I injured my foot during the shoot, so I had to actually work more on my left-handed, so I think that actually helped in a way. But they made us learn each other's moves, and they said, the best thing we can do for you guys is to teach you both the choreography for both your parts. So I trained with Peter, and Mandy trained with Bob, and then they would swap us out, and I would go and work with Bob and learn all of Mandy's moves, and then Mandy would have to learn all of mine. And they said the reason we want to do that is that there's less chance of an accident happening if you know the other person's moves. So that's really how we did it. And so by the time we showed Rob Reiner the fight, it was over in like a minute and a half. We'd gotten so fast, Rob went, "That's it?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he was like, "No, we need to add more." So we had to, in 20 minutes, we had to go and add the whole sequence up the tower where we pushed the rock off the ledge there. All of that was added later on. And the acrobat came in and did all of that thing, which was incredible. So it turned out pretty good, I think, you know, right? I hope.
Thank you.
Physically, was that the most demanding thing that you've ever had to do in your
Oh my God, I would go home at the end of the day from rehearsing with Mandy, and your thighs looked like, I didn't know I had muscles that was, you know, and I was soak in a hot tub. They were like, go and soak in a hot tub and that'll help. So we would go home and we just soak in a hot tub to try and relax our muscles. It was intense. It was great workout though. I've probably never been so fit in my life, you know? And everybody who I meet at these events are all like, "Hey, do you still fence?" I'm like, really, honestly, it's 30 years ago, you know? But everyone expects me to still be fencing, and I feel bad, like I'm disappointing people, but, you know. Hello. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Amanda.
Hi,
I'm
Amanda.
a huge psycho. So I have a question about Psych. I know it's not huge up here in Canada. There's a few psychos up here.
Yeah. Wait a second. We filmed it here.
I know. But I was wondering, it's kind of a two-part.
Okay.
What was it like working with James and Dule, and would you like to see Despero come back in the next movie?
Well, you tell me.
I would love to see him come
There
back.
you go. Thank you. I would love to. I think they're planning on doing another TV
are.
film. I hope.
I think they're currently writing it, but with James's new, his million parts, a million little pieces, or whatever his new TV show is,
Right.
it's kind of delayed a little bit.
Sounds like you know more about it than I do.
Yeah.
Am I in
Told
it?
you I'm a huge
know.
psycho.
I hope so. I loved it. I love working with those guys. I mean, it was silly, just pure silliness. I mean, the great casting of James and Dule. Their chemistry is extraordinary, and they would ad lib. If you can go online, I think they put up a lot of their outtakes online. I don't know if they've taken them down on the USA Network site, but they were
It's
up there for a
blocked
while.
up here,
Huh?
unfortunately. USA Network website's blocked up here to see the videos.
It's blocked up here. That's so China of them.
I know.
Why would they do that?
When I was I'm American and moved up here, so that's why I was so excited, and then I had a hard time finding it up here.
Huh. Okay.
It's on Amazon Prime now.
For all you hackers out there, on the USA Network website, there used to be some outtakes, and they were pretty, you'll see how crazy it got. I mean, I never got through a take with these guys, really. I'm surprised we got anything done. It was, honestly. And then the director, I mean, it would be like all the crew laughing. I mean, the days were long, but they were fun.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I hope we get to do another movie, because I would love to come back and do Desperate. I enjoyed playing him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Amanda.
Everybody get a VPN, and so they can look up the outtakes
There you go.
online. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Jessica.
Hi.
Want to just say first, I'm a huge fan, Carrie. I've seen Lady Jane, and I loved Princess
Oh,
Bride, and I
thank
love
you.
Kiss the Girls a lot too.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to be that person.
Thank you.
I got to ask, what was your favorite or most memorable kiss on screen?
My most memorable kiss?
Or favorite kiss on screen?
Well, I would say the Princess Bride, because in the script it says it's the, what was it, the top, what is it? Top 5? Left them all behind. There you go. Thank you. So there was pressure.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, if you look in my book, you'll see there's pictures of Rob coming and interrupting Robin and I, going, no, this is how you kiss her, which was hilarious. So Rob was literally giving us lip reading as opposed to line readings. I think he was enjoying kissing Robin, personally. But we did it 6 takes, and we kept giggling, because Robin and I had become good friends during the shoot, and so it was weird. It was like kissing your best friend, you know? So we got it on the 6th take, and that was fun, I guess, because we were laughing a lot, so it was kind of silly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go. Hello.
Hi.
Hi,
What's your name?
Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Princess Bride was a big part of my childhood, so thank you so much for
Oh,
that.
thank you.
I know the movie wasn't really a hit when it came out. When would you say you realized that it had become the iconic movie it's now considered as, and what was that like for you?
Well, that happened, so it was very strange. You're right. When the movie came out, 1987, 31 years ago, it was, it came out the same weekend as Fatal Attraction, which cleared out every theater, basically. Even though we were a different demographic, it was just such a huge hit that nobody knew what the film was. You know, with the title like that, a lot of people thought it was a kid's movie or a girl's movie or something like that. And so nobody knew what it was. The marketing wasn't great, I'll be honest, you know. I love the poster, don't get me wrong, but it really didn't tell you much. There's no rodents of unusual size. We're not even on the poster. It's just Fred Savage and Peter Falk, you know, and a couple of toys. I don't know where that came from. But so nobody knew what the movie was. And so we relied a lot on word of mouth. And unfortunately, back then, before cell phones and the internet, we didn't have those tools to help us. And so the film kind of sadly went away. And I'll never forget, Rob held a dinner in New York after a screening, and he said, look, I just want you to know that even if the movie doesn't do the kind of business that Fox wants it to or we want it to, I'm really proud of the film, and I'm proud of what you guys have done, and I hope you guys are too. And we all hugged and thanked him and all of that. And then we went on with our lives, because we thought, you know, it's just what happens. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. And I think it was about 10 years later, about a decade later, I was living in New York, and this wonderful invention happened called the VHS, the VCR, right? And people started renting the film and then buying it and either holding on to it for dear life or handing it down from one generation to the other. How many folks still have their VHS copies here? There you go. It's amazing. It's become like a touchstone. I meet folks who bring it up to my booth to sign, and it's got tape coming out of it like it was, you know, a fur ball. And what happened was people started giving it as gifts to family and friends, and the film suddenly, after being mostly dead for a decade, suddenly came back to life. And I was living in New York. I'll never forget, I was in a restaurant and ordering food from a waitress, and she asked me how I wanted my hamburger cooked, and I said medium rare, and she went, as you wish. And I said, excuse me? And she said, you know. And that was it. And ever since then, it's I mean, extraordinary. I mean, it's become, you guys, honestly, I can tell you now, on behalf of everybody associated with the film, that we're so grateful after 31 years that this film is still in your hearts. It means so much to us. I mean, there's more merchandising on the film now than when it came out. Yeah, so thank you. From everybody associated with the film, I want to tell you how much we appreciate it, especially me. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, and as this legacy has continued, I mean, it's almost like I recall kind of growing up with the film as far as the love between a grandfather and grandson,
Right.
the love between friends, the romantic love. I mean,
Right.
it's wherever you are in life, whatever stage you are in life, there is something there for you
Right.
with the film, and that must strike you as something especially beautiful about it.
It is. You're right, Aaron. I think people ask me, like, what is it about the film? Why do you think it is that it has that longevity? And I always tell folks, I think, first of all, it's a movie about love. That's not a bad thing. Secondly, it's funny. And third, it's a film that the whole family can sit down and watch together. And how many movies can you do that with today? Not many. And so everybody watching it, you know, parents, grandparents, kids, everybody gets something out of it. Because there's adult humor where it's not too adult, and then there's kids' humor. So it has everything. And Rob Reiner was the perfect director to direct it at the time. It was a book he fell in love with as a kid. His father, Carl Reiner, had given it to him to read. And he was the perfect director because, you know, he had been passionate about making the film for a long, long time. So when we came to shoot it, he would add things that weren't in the book. For instance, I'll give you one example. And to me, it's one of the most beautiful examples. When Peter Falk, when the kid says, when Fred Savage says to him, hey, Grandpa, maybe you can come back tomorrow and read it to me again? And then Peter Falk turns to him and says, as you wish. That wasn't in the script. Rob Reiner added that. And it's that note that you go, oh, right, that was meant to be, you know? And so it was a beautiful thing to watch. It really was.
Yeah, and remains so.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Hello there. My name is Kirsty, and
Hello.
you may answer my question as you wish.
Never heard that before.
But I was wondering, with the current immersion of stories becoming full-time television series, like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
would you ever envision The Princess Bride as becoming a TV series, and would you want to be involved with
You're
that?
so sweet. You are very sweet. You know, look, Bill Goldman, William Goldman, who wrote the screenplay, it's, believe it or not, he's one of the, for those of you who don't know who he is, I'm sure most of you do, but he's one of the great screenwriters of all time and novelists. He wrote the book of Princess Bride, which if you haven't read it, it's great. Yeah, you can applaud for that. And he also wrote Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, All the President's Men, Marathon Man, among many others. And he tried. So many fans wrote him letters after the book came out saying, please write a sequel, please write a sequel. And he actually, I think one of the public reissues of the book,
It was.
Yeah, right? You know about this, Aaron, right?
Yeah.
He included a letter where he explained how hard it was for him to write a sequel. And then I think in the 25th edition of the book, he included a chapter that he tried to write called Buttercup's Baby, which I think is about maybe 2 paragraphs long or something like that. And when we did the 25th anniversary screening at Lincoln Center in New York, somebody asked him, are you going to finish Buttercup's Baby? And he almost wept. He said, you know, I tried. I really tried. I wanted to. Believe me, I wanted to. But he said, I just couldn't do it. And so, unless he was behind it, I really don't think it's something that anyone would want to get involved with. I think I can say that on behalf of everybody associated with it, because it's really his baby. It's his favorite piece of work out of all this incredible work that he's done. It's his favorite because it's dedicated to his kids. He was driving across country, and his 2 daughters were in the back seat, and he asked them, he said, what should I write my next book about? And one of the daughters said princesses, and the other one said brides, and that's it. That's how it came together. So it's very personal to him. But I thank you for your question, and I understand why you would want to see it, but I think it's tough. Certainly, I'm 31 years later, I'm a little too old to play Westley again, so maybe the grandpa. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hi there. What's your name?
My name is Tyler, and
Tyler.
my mother actually raised me on The Princess Bride.
Oh, thank you. Thank you to your mom.
Well, it also got me into just messing around sword fighting with my grandma.
Oh,
But-
right on.
Yeah,
Wait,
it was
Sword
really-
fighting with your grandma?
Yeah, wait, hold on a
We
second.
were,
yeah.
we were using wooden sticks. Don't worry. We were using.
Was she in on the
we
on
were
the plan?
using. We were using
you.
dowels. We were using dowels as fencing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I laughed at it too a moment ago. Anyways, I was wondering if you could go back and add one scene to The Princess Bride, what would you add?
I wouldn't add anything.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Glad you approve.
Awesome.
You know, actually, I mean, and I know you cannot talk at all about this, but it was announced recently that you will be part of Stranger Things.
Thank you.
Season 3.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Obviously, we have some fans in the audience
Yes.
of the show. How did you kind of, what was your first exposure to this series, and then realizing what a big hit that it was and is?
Well, I knew it was a hit show, but to be honest with you, I hadn't seen it when I got offered the part. So I quickly binge watched the first 2 seasons. And I've never binge watched anything in my life. And I got to tell you, it wasn't hard, because that show, I mean, when I watched it and sat down, my wife was like, didn't see me for like a week, you know? And so I was so engrossed in it, and I was so impressed by the kids' performances. They're all amazing, everybody, and, you know, David Harbour, everybody. And the direction, everything, every department. I was like, this is a really amazing show. I get why it's successful. It's really well written and well thought out. And so I was so grateful. They offered me the part to play the mayor of Hawkins. And so I get to be the new mayor. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah. Hi there. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Remy. We met earlier
Hi,
today
Remy.
at the
Yeah, sure.
autograph. I wanted to ask you for a shout out, but I didn't want to be rude with the people behind me. I know you have a lot of short time and all that. I was just wondering if you could wish my friend JC a happy belated birthday in your most seductive Westley voice.
All right, so this is where I'm going to be a bad cop, simply because timing, but also Carrie's up here to answer questions, but not so much perform. So I will say happy birthday to your friend, but maybe not.
Happy birthday. I can tell you that. I don't know what voice you want me to do. Lithuanian? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I
Thank
do have
you.
an actual
But
question.
thank
if
you
want.
anyhow.
Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Hi. Next question.
Hi.
Hello.
I really love the film The Riverman, where you played
wow,
Tim
thank you.
Bundy. What was it like playing such a character, and how do you prepare for that kind of role?
Well, I prepare for all my roles the same way, with a great deal of research, especially if I'm playing a real person. It's a lot easier playing a real person, actually, because you have a mine of information to use at your fingertips. Playing a serial killer is, you know, playing a real life serial killer was probably not the most exciting thing for me to do, because being in that headspace is very hard. And it was hard work. I certainly enjoyed the work, but like I said, I prefer not to be, I think that's the last serial, let me put it that way, last serial killer I'll probably play. Let's put it that way. But thank you. I appreciate your appreciation for it. Thank you.
Yeah, you can take that off the list.
Take
Serial
that.
killer. Done.
Check.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
We only have time for 2 more quick questions, guys.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Super. That wasn't my question.
It's okay. I'll allow it.
Your book was fantastic for As You Wish. I mean, it was full of all these lovely little moments, like especially when you're talking about Wallace Shawn having anxiety over Danny DeVito possibly being funnier. But back to Psych. Do you have any little moments, scenes, any stories from that just really stick in your mind, as opposed to it being just like a riot the whole time?
What, I'm sorry. What?
Psych.
Psych.
Yes.
Any particular story? Well, I tell you one thing. I wasn't prepared for Dule Hill's little girly scream when I first. That threw me. And I thought it was a mistake. And I laughed and ruined his take. And he's like, no, that's how my character screams. And so, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it was just a lot of ruined takes. I don't know how we got through a day, honestly. It was extraordinary. A lot of ad-libbing, which is fun. And James and Dule, having been on the show a lot longer by the time I got there, knew their characters very well. So they were able to really ad-lib in character all the time with each other, and that was fun to watch, yeah.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi.
What's your name?
Anastasia.
Hello.
Hi. I remember seeing The Princess Bride when I was about 7 or 8 in theaters. And I think even at a young age, you set the bar very high for other males in my life.
Thank you. Wow, thank you.
So yeah, my husband of 11 years, I met him on the fencing team. So I was wondering, what do you say to several generations of males that have that character to live up to as Westley?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What advice would you give to several generations of males that have to live up to the Westley character?
Oh, God.
It's not several generations since then, I just want to say.
Not quite, I'm
Well,
not
like
quite
guys that are
that
still
old
watching it,
yet.
yeah.
But no, I mean, look, I don't know what to say to that. You're very kind. How about that? That's very sweet of you. I played a character, and I was lucky enough to get cast in it. It was really, obviously, a career-altering moment in my life. I had also read the book when I was 13, like Rob Reiner, and I was shooting a film in Berlin at the time for Channel 4, a British Channel 4 film about Vladimir Nabokov, and I got a call from my agent saying that Rob Reiner is flying to Berlin to meet you and discuss The Princess Bride. And I couldn't believe that. I was like, wow. So he and his producing partner, Andy Scheinman, flew to Berlin, and they said to me, Rob goes, we're serious if we're two Jews flying to Berlin, And they sat me down, and we discussed how much we loved the book together. And then he pulled out his script, and he said, I just want to hear one scene. Just read this paragraph for me. And I hadn't had any preparation at all, because they hadn't sent me the script to read. And he made me read the whole monologue about becoming the Dread Pirate Roberts when I'm carrying Buttercup through the fire swamp, which is a long scene, and I'm reading it cold, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is going so badly, it's awful. I'm stumbling and fumbling and trying to act cool and all of that. And when I didn't even finish it, and Rob was like, that's good, okay. It was great meeting you. And they got up and they left. And I thought, well, that's that. That was fun while it lasted. And then about a week later, I got the call, which was extraordinary. And I told my agent, I said, you can forge my signature on the contract, and just in case they change their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, did he ever tell you what it was about that line read that he especially liked and what worked for him?
Turned out he didn't need to make me read. He said, you had the part anyway. I was just messing with you.
Excellent. Well, Fan Expo Canada, I can't think of a lovelier note to end 2018 on. And I want you to know, first of all, you guys are great. You've been a great crowd all weekend.
Yeah, you have.
And please give it up for this awesome gentleman.
Give
it up for Cary.
Thank you. Give it up for Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Convention Junkies coverage of Fan Expo Canada 2018. Join the conversation below with a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see more. If you would like to help us with future projects, please visit our Patreon page.